United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Hey, what's up? My name is Noelle, and I am the 6 Sour Patch Kids that I shouldn't have eaten.
Ooh, and I'm Chelsea. I'm gonna start charging this fucking frog in my throat rent. That is just not pulling its weight around here.
That's because you are just like a walking, talking ball of mucus.
Yeah, just phlegm. Like a phlegm factory.
You're like that old Mucinex commercial, the little green man in the suit.
I think about that often when I take like any sort of like mucus destroying medication. I'm like, time to get evicted, man. And he's like a little mobster with his hat. There has to be something going on.
Yeah, you need to go to a real doctor and not whatever Reiki fucking healer you find.
The Reiki was for Puffin, and he fucking loved it. So how dare you?
No, I'm saying
but
your doctor history is as stable as a Reiki healer.
Did I ever tell you, like, my regular general doctor is great. I fucking love him. I don't think I can say anything bad about him. The problem is the specialist that I get referred to, right? Didn't I tell you, like, I was supposed to go get, like, a whole bunch of ultrasounds to make sure I wouldn't just drop dead from similar things that happen to run in my family. Mm-hmm. And I made the appointment, and then I showed up at Davis Hospital. They were like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I have an appointment." And they're like, "What were you supposed to get done?" I'm like, "I was supposed to get like an MRI done of like my diaphragm to make sure I don't have any like blood clots in there." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they were just like, "I don't even know if we have an MRI machine." I'm like, "Y'all let me make the appointment." I took the day off work. This happened
my God.
4 times before I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just die. So that just happens, you know?
That is American healthcare in a summary, baby. That's what it is.
I know I've triggered, I don't know if I've triggered you or Taylor with this, but I sent you guys the pictures of me getting the dry needling done in my face.
Yeah, that shit's so fucking gross.
And they tried, my insurance was like, "We're not paying for this anymore." And that doctor had a pissing contest with the insurance company because I got a voice memo or voicemail, and it was like, "Your insurance isn't going to pay for any more of this." Mm-hmm. And then I got a follow-up that was like, "JK, we took care of it." And I was like, hell yeah.
Wow. Apparently all it takes is a light bomb threat.
Yeah, just like a doctor being like, "Hey, you got to cover this. This is a long-term problem." But as far as like being perpetually congested, I think I was born congested.
I don't think that's true. I just think you need to seek real medical attention. But anyway, let me break you off.
I want to talk about this episode because I'm so sorry.
You should be.
I feel
and
so
I'm
bad.
sorry.
I thought we were going to go, when I opened up what the episode was about tonight, I was like, what have I done? I'm so sorry for interrupting. For quick context, I'll sometimes think of things that I want to do an episode about, and I don't want to forget it, and I want to make sure that Noelle is also aware of it. So I'll say like, "For later," and then I'll say like one word, and it could be anything from like pilgrims, saving this for later. And I did Vatican, and I thought you wanted to talk about something else tonight, so I just put this on the back burner.
Well, here's the thing, and let me now I'll tap in with where I came in. So you said the Vatican and like secrets of the Vatican, and like we've seen the Da Vinci Code, we have seen angels and demons. Yeah, we're like, this place has got to be chock full of them. And here's the problem. And here's the problem that I got onto once I started doing this and had to fucking commit to it. And it was just a slow, painful death. I don't know if you know this, but Vatican City, the Vatican, the Catholic Church, has been charged with a lot of pedophilic abuse and accusations.
Well, duh. Also, water is wet.
I know that might come as a shock to you, but like, actually, like, things are actually being talked about and like happening with it. And when you look up conspiracies of the Vatican, an upsetting amount of recounts of accusations pull up with it. And
yeah, you
what?
definitely went a different route than what I was going to go.
Yeah. And so then you end up having to like swim and drown through some of the worst, darkest shit you've ever seen and heard in your life. And what I ended up getting to from this is the Vatican secret archives.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just playing around with the line spacing of this and just saying what aesthetically looks better for me. I was thinking more along the lines when I was thinking Secrets of the Vatican I was like, what do they keep in their basement? Is there a dinosaur? I'd love to know that. Do they have, like, what if they, like, found Mary Magdalene's head and then they've preserved it and they've done DNA replication on it and now we have a Mary Magdalene baby that they are now trying to grow? You know, fun stuff like that. But it looks like you've gone a very different route here.
Yeah, but also kind of not. So we'll figure it out when we get there. Let's talk about Vatican City, because as much as I love to shit on religion, there was like a lot that I didn't understand and or realize about the Vatican, and maybe that's just because my only understanding of it was from like a scene in Twilight. So here we go. You're muted. You're still muted.
I'm curious what your baseline understanding or like conception of the Vatican is, because I wonder if we're on the same page with that. Like, I just assume the Vatican is the small city slash building where the Pope lives, and it's kept as like a sovereign state so that the church could literally rule that small chunk of land independent of surrounding government. That's what I think of the Vatican.
Yeah, so like I knew like the weird facts, right? I knew that the Vatican had its own like standing army. And I was like, why?
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah. And I knew that it was like independent of like Rome, Italy, but I like didn't understand what that meant exactly. I almost thought like, is it like how Washington D.C. is like a little,
Kind of.
you know, like
I similar but distinct from, where it's within this containing landmass of either Italy or the United States, you know, and it's just specifically a piece carved out for some sort of doctrine. And DC's case, it's governmental doctrine, but then in the Vatican's case, is religious doctrine. Is what I would interpret it as.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of the, you know, the two different sides of the same coin when you think about it. So
when you were really into the church and going to like all the camps and stuff, was it Catholic or was it just like non-denominational Christian?
Non-denominational Christian. The Catholicism that I experienced was in childhood. That's drinking, you know, like the communion wine and the little Christ cookies on Sundays.
Well, I mean, most Christian religions do that.
Yeah.
But
and
my favorite part of Catholicism, if you can have a favorite, is like the archive of different saints and stuff. That is like my fucking favorite thing to read about, to have. Like, I have different saint pendants. I just think that stuff's fun. They're like, Catholicism is the fantasy of Christianity, I think.
Well, I think like Catholicism is like the goth art house of Christianity, because like, isn't it that every holy site of a Catholic church, like the big ones, they have the actual remains or like a bit of something of a saint, like in the actual building?
We covered that a bit in the Shroud of Turin episode, where there was like a huge thing as to having like holy relics. And so there's some places where they literally have like a preserved finger of like a fucking saint or things like that. And it's so morbidly interesting to me.
Yeah. And like the one of the coolest cathedrals is like a bone cathedral. Like it's just, it's so fucking heavy metal. And even when you look at their little outfits, like it is just, there's a reason why like Catholicism is a kink. There's a reason why you will never find an end to the supply of like Catholic inspired porn, and it is just it is what it is. It's why the St. Andrew's cross is like a pinnacle in the BDSM kink community. There's a reason. It is just kind of unfortunately fucking cool.
Yeah, I feel like I'm obsessed with the Catholic Church in a like, obviously there's an issue with organized religion. If you it's like I can separate out those fucking issues and be like, I am obsessed with the ritual of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
I find that the mysteries of the Christian religion all come back to Catholicism. I don't think that same way about like being evangelical or even like Presbyterian to a point. There's no mysticism there. It's just very cut and dry type of religious belief and religious doctrine that may have had mysticism in it, but it's been normalized. I feel like there is a sense of mysticism in Catholicism, which I find so fucking cool. And the fact, like, even when you look at the remains of like the saints that they have taken and they keep in their churches, or like the bone cathedral of which you talked about, or the mystery of the Vatican, I just don't feel like other religions have that. Like, if you went to a fucking Baptist church, you go to the oldest Baptist church ever, and it's almost like it's just architectural in a sense. But when you go back to Catholicism, if you go back to like the oldest Catholic church ever, you're like, holy shit, I'm seeing like seriously stuff that we don't understand or can't comprehend here, because and it's the same with like other parts of human history, even though it's a little bit more modern, there is a sense of the unknown to Catholicism. And I think that's why the Vatican is so interesting.
Well, yeah, it's like one of the few mainstream religions that has a basis in Christianity and still has that kind of like, that eerie, almost pageantry, mysticism in what they're doing, what they're wearing, how they're saying it, and even like their imagery, like the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the Sacred Heart of Jesus. That imagery of one heart wrapped in the thorns and the other heart on fire with a sword through it. It is just incredible. It is beautiful. And I also think that when it comes to like the imagery and art and architecture of Catholicism, that's where you get those haunting like depictions of suffering, because like that's the core. I think that's why Catholicism ends up being so fucking metal, is because at its core, it's all about suffering and guilt. And they show that in every possible way they can. Like, you don't really get like a warming Mary. You get like this mourning, crying, bent over. Same with like your depictions of Jesus. He is withered and bent and broken and bloody and sunken in. And I think it's fucking amazing. And it's the only thing cool about the Catholic Church, because everything about them rots in hell, but those motherfuckers know how to turn out looks. And it's
even look at their cross that they worship, you know? Like, it's the crucifix with Jesus literally hammered on the cross. Other Christian religions, it's just the traditional T, so to speak.
Yeah, because they don't want you to forget the suffering and the pain and the misery, you know? That's why, like, the foundation of Catholicism is confession and repenting. You always have to be repenting. Like, your existence is sin, and I don't know, man. It is just, like... and like the sainthood depictions, like the glowing halos and just the gaudy fucking outfits dripped in fucking gold. It's just gorgeous. It's unfortunate how fucking cool they look.
Yeah, and there used to be a what is that called? It's a monastery fairly close to us in Huntsville, which is like a 40-minute drive. Which I used to go there all the time and buy like honey and stuff like that. And like, there was just such an ethereal feel. Like, I felt I was walking into like Rivendell, where like these mystical beings who live like a reality I will never fucking comprehend exist in their day to day. And they were always so gracious and kind. I don't think that those monks were necessarily problematic in the way that priests and stuff can be, but it was
Yeah.
just so fucking amazing, dude. And I have like the utmost respect for that. There's certain, definitely, like, I feel like people know how we feel about organized religion, but I feel like there's just such a mysticism that you can't really, like, you got to respect the game when it comes to like the beliefs that aren't hurting children or people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Especially with the saints, they fucking got it hook, line, and sinker. They even have like fucking patron saint of like rape and stuff, which I feel like is
That's dark.
it is dark. It is, but it's also like in a way progressive, to be like, hey, we're going to validate all these people who go through this by martyring this saint to be a symbol of the suffering that comes with something like that. And now you have a safe place of which to resonate in this horrific thing that happened. And I feel like a lot of times that is missing in modern times, right?
Yeah.
Or there's like a saint of women who suffer miscarriages and things like that. Like there are a lot of things that are really fucking cool. So like I feel like with Catholicism, my kink, so to speak, has always been with like the army of saints and like what they all represent, 'cause it's always so fucking cool. But
Well, I also think that there's a level of like Catholicism that reminds me of like the occultism of something like Freemasonry or like the Knights Templar. Everything that they do is so symbolic and ritualistic. Even if you go to like a Catholic service, it's a bunch of standing up and sitting down, standing up and sitting. It's all, there's so much ritual to it, and even the way that like they dress feels just like very occulty to me. And I don't know, it's just I also think that's what adds to that like mysticism of it. It's just there is something like that untapped rawness of like occultism that feels like it's intertwined with Catholicism. I mean, Catholicism is where you get the literalist interpretation of the suffering, where you have self-flagellation, you have, putting nails in your shoes and walking a mile. Like, it's just carrying the cross, like literally. They just take suffering to a whole new level, and for those extremists, there is just something I have to like respect about that, because I'm just like, God fucking damn, like they're really doing it to it.
And it's like, just stop fucking with kids. It's like you're fucking up a good thing because this could be something so cool and harmless.
No, its whole entire intention was to be harmful. Like all of the greatest atrocities in human history, like as far as tearing down cultures and ripping apart artifacts and education and literature and just destroying entire countries and continents and peoples and cultures has been at the hands of Catholicism. Its entire intention was to cover its hands in blood because they can just go sit in confessional on Sunday and repent for it or pay their way out of it. Like, do a few Hail Marys to get out of the genocide you committed. That's why Catholicism will also be and always will be the fucking worst.
And it's like, you wish it didn't have to be that way. Imagine if it could just be fucking cool. It's like Wicca, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know Wicca, I don't know. Like, sometimes when someone's like, I'm Wiccan, I'm like, oh, you just don't shower. Like, a very, like... But it's like the worst thing that I go to is my ignorance, but it's not being able to actually cite atrocities that you've committed in the real world.
Yeah.
And it's just so... It's like, man... You could have been that harmless and that memorable, and yet you chose chaos and war.
I mean, I think that was always the intention. But anyway.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. We're going to talk about that kind of briefly for a second, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say. But let's talk about Vatican City. So, the Vatican is an independent city-state or microstate that's like in an enclave within Rome, Italy. The Vatican became independent from Italy in 1929 with the Lateran Treaty. I don't know, public school. I don't really think this was a treaty. It was more like a hostage negotiation where the Catholic Church was given dominating rule, exemption from taxes, and expropriation, which is the ability for the state to take your shit, and financial compensation from the Italian government. It is ruled by the Holy See, S-E-E, not S-E-A, which is just a D&D term for the Pope and his crew. The Holy See governs with full ownership, exclusive domain, and sovereign authority and jurisdiction. They are a sovereign entity of international law and maintain the city-state's diplomatic and spiritual independence. Despite being immune to taxes, the Holy See generates revenue from Catholic donations all over the world, the money brought in from tourism to Vatican City, investing, stocks, and bonds. The Holy See lives within Vatican City, but isn't technically Vatican City, hence these financial loopholes. Besides outright financial corruption behind Vatican City's walls, lays a little something called the Secret Archives. So the Vatican Secret Archives, or the Apostolic Archive, is the central building in Vatican City, and it is a building that holds all and any acts communicated by the Holy See. The building is ruled by a pontiff, or basically a Catholic priest who graduated Catholic college, until his death, when it's passed over to like his predecessor.
See, that's the cool thing about like this type of stuff is it's like that adds to the secrecy where it's like only passed on through death. You know what I mean? It's like you're not retiring out of this spot.
Yeah.
Like you're in for
absolutely.
life.
Well, the secrecy is insane because like the Catholic Church ran into like some financial shit in 2015, but they haven't had an auditor consistently, and like they've just missed some for years, and everything about what they do financially is like very hidden and kept secret. And so when they like came out saying like that they needed money and they need to reallocate funds, and they need to like stop, because like they'll even invest, like the fucking Vatican will invest in property and real estate.
Yeah.
Like they are doing, because they are immune to like international laws, and because the like Vatican is different than the Holy See, and so the Holy See can act as a body with money from the money that it takes from Vatican City, but like they're not considered the same entity. It's almost like one is considered a place and one is considered a person.
Yeah.
They just get to ride in secrecy and loopholes and corruption. Yeah. So it's fucking crazy.
It's also crazy that someone could have such an important job with a simple college degree.
I mean, I guess it is important when you think about like all the shit that's in there.
Like you don't have to have a doctorate at least. You know what I mean?
I know. He just has to like go to and what do they even teach you in Catholic school? Like, what are you graduating from?
I know Protestant school, or not Protestant, Presbyterian school is fucking hard because they make you learn Hebrew and all this shit, and it takes like it's almost like getting a doctorate. But I have no knowledge about Catholicism.
I mean, I bet it might be similar and the same. Like they make you learn all this ancient shit, but
yeah, but it's not like a commitment in the sense like because it's not like a celibacy type commitment, you know. Like
I think there's
this seems like a bigger deal. Well, the Catholics, yeah. Presbyterians, you can be fucking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, this seems like a bigger deal if you can't like have like a romantic.
And also, like celibacy, wink, like come the fuck on.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's the same loopholes that you tend to see at BYU.
Yeah, exactly. Just outbreaks of chlamydia in their armpit. And I wanted to note this here. We've talked about it before, but a telltale sign of a cult is creating your own language phrases as a form of indoctrination and inclusivity to that specific ideology. And going through this and Catholicism in general, or maybe it's the fact that like I've been surrounded by Mormon special phrases, made me forget how like the Catholic Church really just is the blueprint. They are the motherfucking blueprint when it comes to making up their own vocabulary.
Yeah. Like transubstantiation is the transformation of communion. And it's like very special wording.
Yeah, it's just like, what?
I learned that on The Simpsons.
Look, predicting everything. So the archives holds state papers, correspondence, account books, and literally any other documentation that the church has had a part in or has any interest in or can claim historical relevance in. And this is a collection that's accrued over the centuries, and it is nearly 52 miles of it.
See, you don't have 52 miles of documents without something that would turn the world on its head, in my opinion.
Oh, exactly. And then you also have to think, like, it's one of the most secure buildings. Like, it's one of the most secured, locked down, airtight fucking, you can't get in there if you wanted to. And
I fucking want to so bad.
Oh, I know. I mean, so like, bad. If you've seen Angels and Demons, you know how, like, locked down this fucking shit is, but when you think about the historical power of the Catholic Church, I mean, technically it still kind of is powerful, but, like, when you think about it at its peak, like, they could just take, and they have taken anything and everything, and it is just stowed away and locked in there. And because they have their own, basically, like, rules, laws, and regulations, they don't have to answer to anyone about it. Like, it just is what it is.
It's similar to the Smithsonian, right? Where the Smithsonian has literally dictated what we know about natural and human history because they just don't present artifacts that don't fit into the status quo.
Yeah, like, they just keep them cataloged away underneath the basement, and an intern gets paid $15 to get the dust off of them every now and then.
100%.
But with the archives at the Vatican, it's even crazier than that, because, like, you and I, technically, if we tried hard enough, could get a job at the Smithsonian and probably get our hands on something that's not to the public eye, right?
Yeah.
That is not the fucking case here. You have to be born into, essentially, and, like, die out of the position that gets to you within to certain areas of the archive.
It would be easier to become like higher ups in the Mason organization, you know. It would be easier for us to convert to Mormonism and then get our temple recommends. Like that, it would be easy. That would be a fucking cakewalk in comparison to getting into the Vatican and hold any type of power. Especially as women, we're fucked.
Yeah, we couldn't do it anyway. But they allow, like, certain people to come in. But again, it's just like, to me, people being allowed entry into the Vatican archives is just like the tourist groups that go to North Korea. Like, you're not actually, that's not it. You're being shown, like, the corner and the front of the room that has the National Geographic magazines.
Yeah. It's like the fake food, or it's like the food at the supermarket that no one's allowed to buy because they want to keep that presentation up.
Yeah, it's literally the fake food displays in the fake grocery store that you drive past in with your bus that's been staged that way for the last 5 years.
Right.
It's that same fucking shit. So, anyway, shocking to maybe no one, some conspiracies as to what's hiding in there have arisen. And here are some that I found. There's a lot here. Let me say this. There are a lot of conspiracies about what they have in there. The problem, finding any piece of semi-coherent information about it. Because just as Catholicism has been around for a while and has created an eclectic group of people, the same type of people who are drawn to it talk about conspiracies with it are just as crazy. So it's tough to find in-depth knowledge and examples about the imaginary place that essentially doesn't exist, if that makes sense. Yeah. So let's talk about them. And the first one, honestly, kind of low-key my favorite, is that the Vatican is holding secrets that prove that Jesus does not exist. And this is a really fun one for me because, oh boy, do I believe it.
This one's interesting because I've heard conspiracies saying that, like, obviously, like, Jesus existed, but he wasn't the Son of God as a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. This one is the one that just being like, nope. Literally just like a figment of someone's imagination slapped onto historical papers.
Yes and no. A little bit of both, actually. So there are reports that the archives contain communication between Emperor Nero, who is the 5th emperor of Rome. He is He was loved by the lower class and hated by the aristocracy. Nero? Yeah.
Fucking, Nero. How many Neros are there? Which Nero? Because there's one Nero who fucked a horse and everyone hated him.
Well, this Nero loved the theater, he loved
Being
acting,
Caligula.
and he loved poetry, and he would oftentimes basically do pop-up improv in like the like lower class areas, and that's what made the aristocracy hate him. He was also adopted. Like he was a orphaned
I don't
son.
know, man. I think we have to be thinking of different Neros because
Or
the
you're
Nero
just
that I
falling
know.
into the propaganda because
No, this guy was insane. He was like a sadist, dude.
I mean, here's the thing.
He murdered thousands of people. It wasn't just like fun eccentricity. Like he was like a war criminal. And
I mean, all Roman emperors were wake up. This one just so happened to be very much loved by the lower class, and yeah, he was an aficionado of the arts. He loved culture and he loved coliseums. So anyway, it just sounds like you've fallen very much into the aristocracy
dude,
propaganda.
no, I'm not. I can't. Okay, so I'm willing to buy into this, but like, if we're talking about the same Nero, he was not a fucking beloved person. He was the notoriously most cruel emperor in history.
I mean, some people, some contemporary sources, most contemporary sources of the time, would refer to him as tyrannical, self-indulgent, and debauched.
He kicked
But
he kicked his pregnant wife to death. He wasn't a good person.
You are saying that like King Henry didn't behead all of his wives. Don't come at me like Nero is anything different than everything that has come before him and after him. Okay? You are just falling into propaganda right now.
No, I think you're falling into propaganda.
You're falling into propaganda.
Dude, what I've wanted to do
what
an episode
emperor
about Nero
hasn't kicked their pregnant wife to death? That's what you
every
need to ask
other
yourself.
emperor.
You are so wrong about that, and it's hilarious, and you know that to be true. Why do you think there was a separation of the church in the first place? Oh,
dude,
because a man wanted to be a self-indulgent tyrannical.
I'm 99% sure that Nero is the one who. This part is actually cool, but he like professed that he wanted to go to war with Poseidon or whatever, so he instructed his army to just go out and hack the shit out of the ocean.
See,
that was like a full war. So that's
once again, like you're trying. All I'm doing is like, yep, Nero's my fucking guy. He's my favorite fucking guy.
This guy was a fucker, dude. I've wanted to do an episode about how terrible Nero was for a while because
if you want to do an episode of how terrible Nero is, then you're gonna have to be doing episodes on how every ruler and emperor and king is also the worst.
I'm pretty sure that Garth Ennis did a comic about Nero, and that should tell you the content.
Because he's cool. So anyway,
was Nero an asshole? Was Nero? Hold on, let me finish. It was Nero an asshole. I feel like this is one of my like guilty pleasures, but I think they called him Caligula. He earned the reputation as a neckbeard asshole. Mm-hmm. According to Reddit, he was the epitome of what the senatorial class hated as an emperor. Maybe that's why you like it, because the senators and the government did hate him.
I literally told you he was hated by the aristocracy because he basically was like, suck my dick, bitch, and then he would like go party and get drunk with like all the lower class people.
But he was also like considered, maybe this is why you like it, because he was considered as an antichrist to the Christians, so maybe just like that. But he wasn't a good person. I think that
none of them are. You cannot be an emperor of Rome and be a good person. It's an oxymoron. So pick your favorite poison. He's mine. And the reason why is because
according to epicfails.com, he is a ruthless asshole and has the worst approval ratings ever.
A ruthless asshole? Again, what are we saying here? In my Roman emperor, you better believe it. So, he
would go down his history as one of the worst rulers in history, right alongside with King John and Ivan the Terrible. This ruthless asshole ruled from AD 54 till he committed suicide in 68 after he was declared enemy of the state, while everyone in the empire grabbed their torches and pitchforks. No other ruler could hope to match Nero's level of self-indulgence, cruelty, and sheer douchebaggery. I'm going to say something fucking... he was the Caligula redo. So Nero was quite possibly the worst of the notorious Roman emperors, which is really saying something. He was malicious and sadistic, and just like his cuckapoo predecessor Caligula, he had a hit list longer than Santa's naughty list. But I'm sure it was just people who were close to him, which is cool. We do love to see it when they destroy themselves from the inside.
Yeah, again, it's like you're just making me fall in love with him more. One of my favorite notes about him is like the struggle for power between him and his mother subsided when he eventually had her killed. And it's just like, go off, king. A self-indulgent emperor? You mean what they're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Self-indulgent. You know that he was like naked, jerking off in a hot tub with like beautiful women putting like grapes in his mouth, and you're gonna sit here and look me in the eyes and tell me that he was a piece of shit, and that's on you.
He did burn a lot of his people to death when he just lit the city on fire.
Yeah, well, I was gonna get into that.
Okay, that's fair. So long as we just cover all of it. But that would be a good episode to cover, would be Nero.
But also, I would light my enemies on fire if I was the Roman emperor. It's just like,
it's his own people.
What I mean? Put your feet in his sandals, because it all makes sense when you do.
Okay, I'm just saying, it would be like saying like Trump is an asshole, but Trump's cancer, good guy. It's like, no, they both exist within this bullshit. Nero is the cancer.
The only paralleled comparison between Nero and Trump is that if Nero also had Twitter, he would be hilarious. And that's it. That is
yeah, you're right.
And you can't deny it. And it's just like,
no, I won't deny that.
You know what I mean? So, as you said, after being declared public enemy by the Roman Senate, which again, the Senate, come on. The Roman Senate at that time, I bet, he was doing something really cool, like jerking off at the sun. He committed suicide at age 30, so frankly, I trust him.
Yeah, Noah loves suicidal people so much that she fucking marries them. We should bleep that.
No, keep it.
Okay.
That's what Nero would have wanted. So, because he's self-indulgent and debauched like me. See? Look in the mirror, baby, because it was evil.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, my God. Nero did nothing wrong. Remember
oh, no! You can't say that! That's too much of a hot take. That's terrible. He was a fucking terrible person, Noel.
He did nothing wrong. And this will further prove it. Because, yes, Nero did also blame the 9-day Great Fire of Rome that destroyed 2/3 of Rome on the Christians.
Yeah, he started it though.
Probably was started by him.
yeah, that was right.
Again, I'm telling you, you're going to look me in the eyes and tell me that my enemy has to be the man who almost sabotaged an entire nation just to say, fuck you, Christians. Get right with yourself.
I know, you're right.
Get right with yourself.
I'm humbled in that point only.
He said, I will burn this motherfucker to the ground, me included, if they go down with me too. And that is a man I can respect.
Nero is the man who's like driving his kids on vacation, and the kids are like quietly bickering in the back seat. And he's like, I'm going to turn this car around, but instead he just flips it on the highway and takes out the entire fucking freeway.
Yeah.
Tons of innocent people die. But you know what? He said he was going to turn this car around, and he fucking did. So at least he's a man of this insanely violent word.
Yeah, and you have to respect it, because I, unlike you, I put myself in his sandals, and I say, if Christianity was booming at the time that I was ruling, and not just ruling the Roman Empire, I would be like, I say this every day. I'm gonna light that person on fire. I would say that. I would be like,
you gotta allow for religious freedom to curate and prosper as a good leader. You can't.
Not ancient Rome.
You can't be a tyrant, Noel. That goes against everything that you love.
No.
It does.
Not in this day and age.
Okay.
Because, like, think about it.
Nero would have been a fucking capitalist. I'm just saying it.
No, he would not, and that's why the aristocracy hated him, because they were. So get right with yourself. If I could go back in a time machine, I would go back and I would help Nero make sure that all of it was destroyed. That's what I would do. So anyway.
Okay.
So anyway, he did do the Great Fire of Rome, but he also did blame it on the Christians, which is pretty metal. So anyway, these letters were between my guy Nero and Saint Paul, or as you might just know him as referenced in the Bible and shit, Paul, who is apparently the most important person after Jesus when it comes to the history of Christianity. Of the 27 books in the New Testament, 13 are attributed to Paul, and approximately half of another, Acts of the Apostles, they deal with Paul, his life, works. So about half of the New Testament stems from Paul and the people who he influenced. Only 7 of the 13 letters, however, can be accepted as being entirely authentic, like written by Paul himself. The others come from his followers writing in his name, just to show how important he is. So, again, you might be asking yourself, what did they have to talk about? They seem like mortal enemies. And I would say, you're right. But honestly, enemies have the most to talk about if you think about it.
If I didn't read further, and I was like, I would just assume that he would be trying to convert either Rome into Christianity or convince Nero to be tolerant of Christianity.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I would assume.
Nope. Because what is an enemy with power other than an ally you want? So these letters claim to talk about the existence of Jesus or the lack thereof.
Hot take.
And not as the way you were thinking, whereas in he didn't exist at all. Because no, they're talking about how he existed, but how he existed because they hired him to exist, how they made him to exist. That Jesus was no more than another puppet to use to gain control, and everyone was in on the bit. That Jesus, as the tool, and Christianity as the base, would be able to consume and mold pieces of all other religions into itself, allowing for an easier transition of mass indoctrination and conversion. And what better proof than that plan worked out than Christianity being the largest religion in the world?
I mean, and you hear, like, we've talked about it before, how Christianity tends to adopt or appropriate from other religions. So on that base, that does make sense, because that is a truth that everyone accepts, that Christianity has taken so many other things. And then you get into the bigger level of, like, does Jesus represent, like, the age of Aquarius, when you go into stuff like that, which is, like, a huge theme in Zeitgeist, the movie. And that's, like, super fucking interesting. And then I remember after 9/11, I didn't mean to talk about 9/11 today.
Do you remember? 'Cause you should never forget.
After 9/11, they did a cultural outreach where they had Muslim people come and talk to us, which was probably the smartest fucking thing that they ever could have done, because they were like, hey, listen, this is really what the Muslim religion is about. And we were allowed to ask questions, and one of the questions asked was like, well, what does the Muslim religion believe about Jesus? And they said that Jesus represented the age of medicine, and that a lot of people interpreted the miracles that Jesus did in their interpretation, or what I understood, what they were explaining to me as a young child, that Jesus just having, like, a medical affinity is what made people believe that he could have been the Messiah. So it's been something that's been kind of, like, going around, because other religions don't deny the existence of Jesus. They just deny his existence as the Messiah. So, like, yeah, he fucking was there, right?
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing. It was just like he had a proficiency in medicine. And what do we think of Jesus? We think of him healing people, healing himself even.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting nugget to stumble upon.
Yeah, it's a fun conspiracy, because, like, this is something I love, right? When we think about, like, ancient times like this, for whatever reason, our brains, like, put in what movies have told us. Yep. Whereas, like, we have actually found archaeological digs that show they essentially had, like, fast food counters with, like, little areas where you would sit your dog and you could, like, sit on the table and, like, eat your meals. They were almost, like, obviously not to the same level, but they shared a lot of, like, the same commonalities that we do today. In, like, even think about a Coliseum. It's essentially like they were at a fucking, Sunday night football game. Like, there's so much there. It's weird how our brains like to put them almost like rudimentary, like they just crawled out of the caves and figured out what fire is, when they were really so close to us as we are today, especially the Roman Empire. And when you think about how they ruled, and how they gained power and control, and the political nature of how the royalty interacted with each other. Like, to think, like, this play is like straight out of House of Cards.
Yeah.
Oh, the two most powerful groups who are enemies knew that the only way to beat everyone else was to come together, but they could never come together publicly. They had to create a puppet that would symbolize everything that they individually wanted but would work together on through this vessel. And when you look at it like that, like a ancient House of Cards episode, it makes perfect fucking sense. And then when you look at like how Christianity specifically has bastardized all of these different cultural practices into itself to make it more digestible for these people, it just paints an even clearer picture. And then it also explains how almost everyone can agree, like, yeah, like Jesus was a guy, we saw him, yeah, sure, but how other people are so righteous in their belief, like, yeah, but he was just a guy, you guys weren't there, you don't realize.
A big thing about Paul's letters to Nero too is that, and it's not that Paul comes right out and says like, hey, listen, this is a shtick. It's the way that Paul wrote the letters that leaves shit open for interpretation, right? Mm-hmm. So in these letters, he's talking to Nero and he's like, hey, listen, you got to convert because we have this guy. This is Jesus. I'm going to tell you all about him. He's descendant of David, blah, blah, blah. That's like the fucking hook right there, right? Because if somebody is born of God or immaculate conception, that's what you should mention right out the gate, right? But Paul doesn't mention that. He mentions descendant of David, implying that Joseph, Jesus's step parent in the Bible, why would you fucking say that? Implying that Joseph is a descendant of David, which would make Jesus also a descendant of David. It's a very weird way to phrase it, and that's why people hook on to those types of things of saying, like, why would he fucking say it like that?
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but it's also like on the flippity flip, you didn't talk about the mother's descendants, and you could also say Mary was technically a descendant of David, but that's still a weird way to mention it, right? Especially if you're trying to convince this fucking guy. Mm-hmm. You don't downplay your fucking trump card.
Yeah, if you're saying like, if you're saying with your entire chest, like, no, this guy is the son of God, then like you would literally say that. But like when you look at it more as a political play, as in like, hey, I need you to buy on. It's literally like when like Republicans put up a candidate and they have to go to their constituents and say, I know you don't agree, but I need you to support so we can have power. It's literally fucking that.
And it's the nefariousness too is like what Q represents now, right? Mm-hmm. Q will take the things that you can kind of buy into of like, oh, you shouldn't trust the government because of XYZ, and then spin it into something worse of like, you should take up arms and go gun down this pizza joint. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh. But it's like definitely one of those things where it's like you have to be direct because now it's open for interpretation, like obviously years later. And if I was saying like son of Joseph Jesus, you would know what I meant, but you would be like, why are you saying it that way? Mm-hmm. So I do think that's super interesting. And it's like, man, Paul, why'd you fucking say it like that, my guy?
It's a good one. It's a good one. Honestly, one of my favorites. So the next one is about the 3 secrets of, I think it's like Fatima.
You skipped number 2.
Oh, did I?
You did. Yeah.
Oh, I did. Sorry.
Because this one is my favorite.
2? Okay, fine. 2?
You'll know why.
2 is aliens. So, and this is, there's actually been like kind of an update to this all. So, the priest who directs the Vatican Observatory, yes, they have their own big ass telescope.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Dr. Jose Funes was interviewed on May 13th, 2006 by a Vatican newspaper, Lo Osservatore Romano, I don't know, about the existence of alien life, and said, they're Italian, who cares? And, and said, quote, this is not in contrast with the faith, because we cannot place limits on the creative freedom of God. Which, and this is in reference to like aliens existing.
Yeah.
Which some say is a soft pivot away from the fact that the Vatican like up until this point, and the Catholic Church in general had been pretty like anti-alien, pretty
Yeah.
anti-extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
That was like the rule. Like it was a no-go.
Yeah.
But the Vatican has been attached to some of like the biggest UFO cover-ups on that side of the earth. And it got to the point where they were getting caught in cities after a crash was reported or a site was seen.
Dude,
And
what
what do you mean?
the Men in Black were just fucking
The Catholic
cardinals?
Church.
Yeah,
I know.
the Catholic Church. That'd be crazy scary.
I know,
right?
but it would also make sense as to like how they were here and like all of those like medieval fucking drugs and shit. So anyway,
Oh my god.
and why they wore the weird little outfits. So
Oh my god.
rather than deny like they have, this like 2006 twist on the previous like this is a no-go, no rule is almost their way of merging the two. Because previous to this, one of the biggest threats to like Christian rule or Catholicism's rule was the existence of aliens. Like it would have been the biggest crisis of faith. And now, if you try to look up this like once taboo topic, you'll find similar themes of quotes like aliens must be the work of God, not just in Catholicism, but from all other types of religions and religious leaders. They have pretty much all pivoted to this from their, for a lot of them, from their like previous hard, staunch stance of no, absolutely no way. Which does make you think they know something.
Yeah, that's fucking scary, dude.
Right? Like all of them. And they're the other big fun, the big fun, because like I said, Catholics and like the diocese of the church were being spotted in areas where crashes and sightings were reported, and you'd go, well, what were they doing there? And before they became pro-alien and they were anti-alien, what's in the archives, you might ask, in their little secret hideaway in Vatican City? Oh, maybe think about spacecraft parts and alien. What? Was that an alien?
Oh, that's fucking
Alien
scary,
remains.
dude. I legitimately have no idea what the fuck it is.
So, yeah.
Oh,
That-
it was the sale. You know how I was like waiting for
Oh my god, are you in it?
that scared the shit out of me. Yeah, I just have to sign in.
Oh my god.
That
I was
scared
like,
the
well,
fuck
the
out of me,
Catholic Church
dude.
is here to fucking kill us.
Yeah, they're after me.
So yeah, the alien thing with the secret archives is two parts. It's that when they used to be anti-alien because it would have been the biggest like contradicting fact to like the creation of God and Earth being like it in the main point.
Yeah.
They were hiding remains and evidence and tech and crashed whatever like pieces from crashes in the archives. Now the pivot is more likely that they have proof and evidence and communications with other like religious leaders and governments about the existence of aliens.
Yeah.
And so they have had to have these like shared conversations about how they'll pivot into becoming pro-alien.
And that's fucking scary, right? Because I feel like the Vatican is similar to the U.S. government of like, they know and they're going to do soft disclosure, like once they can.
Yeah.
And this
Oh,
feels
yeah.
like soft disclosure, and it scares me.
It's soft disclosure in like the context of how we see it, but it's hard. It's a hard admission of guilt, or at least admission of truth, I guess would be the better way to put it. When
Yeah.
you think about like pre-2006, the Catholic stance on extraterrestrial life.
Yeah, because they wanted us to be the number one creation, and when you're not the
Mhm.
number one creation anymore, it takes away from your specialness, and it challenges a lot. But
Yeah, and if like the entire basis and belief and buy-in into the shit you're peddling in Catholicism is like you are the number one, you are the creation of God,
Yeah.
and then along comes something else and it's bigger and better and shinier than you, then your story seems like a fucking fairy tale.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The next one is the 3 Secrets of Fatima. So 3 children from Portugal received prophecies claiming they had been visited by the Virgin Mary 6 times between May and October of 1917. And throughout those visits, they were each given one secret. One of the secrets was witnessed by thousands of people, and it was a vision of hell. I wanted to make you read this, but I think you're buying candles for $10.
No, I'll read it.
Okay.
So, Our Lady showed us a great sea of fire which seemed to be under the earth. Plunged in this fire were demons and souls in human form, like transparent burning embers, all blackened or burnished bronze, floating about in the conflagration? Where's the emphasis on the syllable go in there? Does it matter?
No.
I don't know. Anyway, now raised into the air by the flames that issued from within themselves together with great clouds of smoke, now falling back on every side like sparks in a huge fire, without weight or equilibrium, and amid shrieks and groans of pain and despair, which horrified us and made us tremble with fear. The demons could be distinguished by their terrifying and repulsive likeness to frightful and unknown animals, all black and transparent. This vision lasted but an instant. How can we ever be grateful enough to our kind Heavenly Mother, who had already prepared us by promising, in the first apparition, to take us to heaven? Otherwise, I think we would have died of fear and terror. That is fucking scary, dude.
Right? Imagine a little kid saying that to you, too.
That's like where you got to do like an 8th trimester abortion. You just gotta, you got to be like, hup.
Yeah, that is the verbal equivalent of like you look down the hall and there's a spooky little ghost child waiting for you.
Yeah.
So the second secret was a statement that World War I would end, along with a prediction of another war during the region of Pope whoever. I think that's Pius IV. I don't know. Or that would be 6.
Yeah.
Should men?
Or would it be 11? I don't know, man.
I don't know. I thought. Oh yeah, no, because the V is 5, right?
Yeah, and then the X is.
So that's 11.
We're fucking dumb, dude. It took 2 of us to figure it out.
They didn't teach us Roman numerals in school. They
taught me Roman numerals, but I fucking forgot. Okay, I fucking forgot.
Yeah, I never got to X. I just stayed at V. So, should men continue should men continue offending God, and should Russia not convert? The second half requests that Russia be consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So basically, like, war, stop being not Christian, and Russia needs to get their shit together.
Yeah, they do.
And be Christian. That was the second statement. The second secret, I should say.
Okay.
The third secret was suppressed and hidden. So all the other secrets were written, like, eventually. The church was like, you better fucking give them to us. And they were like, okay, fine. But, like, you have to read them at this certain point. Like, Mary told me. And the third one was like, she was like, I can't. I literally can't. I'm so sorry. I can't. And it got to the point where she was fucking dying in old age. And they were like, the church was like, you need to write it down, girly pop. You've got to give it to us. You've got to give it to us. And finally she was like, okay, just because, like, I know I'm going to die soon. And she wrote it down and sealed it and was like, but you cannot fucking open it until this time. And they surprisingly did. And this is where the rumors come from. Because when they opened this suppressed and hidden and secretive and important and damned letter, they just came out in fucking 2000 and were like, oh my God, it actually is just about a failed assassination attempt on a pope that no one cares about. Oh my God, that's so crazy. Anyway, bye.
That's not true.
Everyone was like, what? All that fucking hype for what? And it's because the third secret was actually the telling of a nuclear holocaust and a man-made disaster in which we would now call climate change and the end of the world.
That's scary, dude. I've heard about this a little bit before. Just when I don't know, we learned about it in anthropology, but that's fucking scary, dude.
And it makes perfect fucking sense.
It does.
Like, and just like the shitty, like, oh hey, it was actually just like, oh, it was just a little failed attempt. Haha, that's so silly, funny, crazy. And it's like generations have gone by, and that's all it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, fucking
Yeah.
right. Like the other ones were about hell and war. And you're gonna sit here and tell me like the one that was guarded with someone's life is just about a failed
I know, they
assassination
fucking,
attempt?
like, it's fine. No big deal.
Yeah, it's like come on, you guys have been more creative than that. Be
Yeah.
better. So the last one I'm going to talk about is pretty quick and simple and easy.
I'm ready for it.
A question I often ask myself is, who holds the largest collection of porn and erotica?
I was wanting you to say Pez dispensers. I don't know why.
Maybe those two, if they're
But-
shaped like a penis, they would be there.
It's definitely got to be the fucking Vatican.
You know it. You fucking know it. So the question, is it a public collection? Is it a private? Is answered when Copenhagen's Museum of Erotica claims that award goes to the Vatican Library or the Vatican Archives. And it's been estimated, Jesus, that there are over 25,000 volumes and some 100,000 prints of erotica and porn.
What
collection.
kind of erotica, though?
Well,
Curious.
The thing is like you have everything from like Renaissance style erotica
Okay.
to like rudimentary dildos. And the fun part is like any, as we talked about earlier in this episode, any spicy fucking Catholic shit.
Yeah.
I'm talking everything from full-blown production studio making a 5-star porn in a like mock-up confessional booth glory hole style. Anything from that to a cell phone video you took of yourself in a nun habit twerking.
Why?
You're asking the wrong question because it should be why not? Anything related.
I'm curious. I'm like, why does the Vatican need
anything related to Catholicism is in there. So every version, shape, color, scent of Catholic porn and
that? Did they watch
erotica
it?
and toys and outfits and machines.
Yeah,
and
but do they watch
condoms.
it? Do they watch
I mean, what? Yeah, what? Chelsea, they touch little boys. Of course, they're fucking watching it. What do you mean?
it? They may not need it. You know what I mean?
They are watching it.
I'm just so curious as to why the Vatican. I get the Renaissance stuff because it's historical, but why would they need to curate fresh porn?
It has. If it has, remember to what the definition of the archives is. Any piece of anything related to the church, indirect or direct, anything that they can find correlation or causation to, they have rights to over. So, like, if you're dressed as a priest, juggling dicks in your hands, it's going into the archive, baby.
Yes, that's so weird, man.
And this collection is significantly larger than that of the private collection in the British Museum Library, which estimates to be around 2,000 volumes, and the Enfants of Bibliothèque Nationale that holds 2,500 volumes.
That is weird.
And with that, I say adieu. So yeah, those are some of the family-friendly secrets of the Vatican archives.
That's fun, dude. I'm so sorry for just texting you Vatican out of the blue and then putting this in your lap, but you took it and you ran with it.
Hey, if there's one thing I love doing more than anything, it's exposing religion. So you can always count on me.
Yeah, you did. Bravo.
I hope we all learned something today.
I did. I did not know that they had the market on porn collection.
Yeah, and you want to know what's funny is that like Snopes even went and like tried to like validate and verify, and they're like, this has got to be false, and it's just like, sure, guys, yeah, because they only showed you their Renaissance collection.
Yeah, I feel like the Vatican could just be like, no, that's not accurate. But
they're like, why would you think that? That's crazy.
Yeah, interesting.
But then that one guy's like,
Yeah, he's like, no, that's true.
Yeah, I can only
Jerking it while they
imagine.
come and ask.
I can only imagine what they have in there. Probably dark. I
I don't
mean,
even want to imagine. I just want to go. I want to be allowed access to any part of the secret Vatican archives.
I want to go to there.
Dude.
They definitely won't let you.
I know, but I wish I would.
You know, that's your own personal Da Vinci Code. And speaking of secrets, here's one that isn't. You can go to the link in all of our bios. I am at Noelle Fain. That is at Sith Lord. We are at Go to Hell Podcast. In that link, you can find our merch page. You can find Kelly Halloran or Wildwood Owl's Etsy page. She makes us all of our cool stickers, and she also makes her own cool art. So check that shit out. You can also find a link to our Patreon. $1 gets you in. New episodes every week. It's going down over there. It's fun. It's good times. We have a link to our Discord server. And again, I don't know why you would need it, but it also has places you can listen to us, which seems crazy since you're listening to us now. We also we also are looking at potential sponsors for the podcast, and one of them is a talking Jesus doll, and they're very serious about it. I don't think we're going to make it through their vetting process because you have to submit a proposal to them and they look into you and approve it. But I will say that we will try for you guys. We will try.
Gonna try hard.
We're going to try to get it to be able to run you the ads for the talking Jesus doll. Which I'm just going to go ahead and they're going to get kind of a free ad right now. So like, honestly, if they look it up, they should be able to like see us really going in and going hard for them. Let me find their proposal. Talking Jesus doll DR, our customer is an activist Christian parent and grandparents. They want their child to know Jesus and will prioritize that over anything else. The product? Our product is the Talking Jesus doll, a beautiful plush. I don't know why I'm saying beautiful plush Jesus. It's like a beautiful plush Jesus doll that talks. Who would have thought?
Fun. It's fun.
When you squeeze his hand, he speaks 10 of Jesus' phrases from the Bible, from the Lord's Prayer to John 3:16, like Austin 3:16.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Austin 3:16. We
made the doll to make. These sentences don't feel real. We made the doll to make the love and lessons tangible to young children. Kids are attracted to his warm, loving smile. They want to hug the soft doll and love to push his hand to make him talk. The best part is they are learning the Bible verses that will last a lifetime. Customers love it, and we have hundreds of 5-star reviews. The one-liners so these are the taglines we can use.
Yeah, give them to me.
Put the Christ back in Christmas.
Hell yeah.
You know, that pagan holiday.
Yeah.
Make Christmas Christian again. Again. Like the pagans. Teach your kids before the world does. And that is Talking Jesus Doll by Jesus Doll DR. And you know who? And they have a budget of up to $25,000. So anyway, you know who I think would be a real appreciator of the Talking Jesus Doll?
Me.
Besides you, because I might just get it for you.
Typhoid Taylor.
And Typhoid Taylor.
Yeah, we would love
an ad after both of your hearts.
Yeah.
You know, it's the man, the she, the him, the they that doesn't need a talking doll for us to love him. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm going to go ahead and give a mighty strong Hail Satan.
I could actually sign off on giving Satan a Jesus doll. Dude, I'm going to say hail the person who fucking got to the bottom of the porn collection, because that's just fascinating.
Yeah, definitely hail the person who saw the Vatican porn collection and was like, I've got to tell someone immediately.
Tell the people. Yeah, they had to tell the people, thank you for your knowledge, sir, and I'm so sorry that they crucified you for it.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Well, thank you for all that information. I'm gonna chew on it like a nice piece of wood.
Yeah, have fun with it. And then take that wood, nail it together, and hang yourself on it, because you're Jesus Christ crucified on the cross.
That is blasphemy.
What a perfect way to end it.
Also, everyone head on over to Bath & Body Works for their candle sale.
No, don't tell them. I want the fucking
Okay,
candles.
well, you gotta text me what flavors you want other than
You know which ones I
Midnight
want.
Blue
It's
citrus.
yeah, Midnight Citrus Blue.
Yeah, I already got
Two
you
of
like
them.
so many of those for your birthday. But
There's not enough. I'm already through one of them.
really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right.
Bye.